we're going to talk about the 5 type of text that turn women off. Now, as I always tell you guys, texting kills attraction. The more times you're on the phone with her trying to text her and send messages, the less time you're probably going to be spending with her in person because you're trying to do it all on the phone. And women don't really connect well over the phone. They do it better in person. But what can also happen when you're texting too much is that you inadvertently start texting things that could really cause her to go from, I'm highly interested in seeing this guy, to, whoa, wait, no, I don't want to see him now. So let's go ahead and get into what those 5 things are, right? And I think I actually have a bonus one up here too. So here's the first kind of text you never want to send a woman is you don't want to send her the, I haven't had that many dates in a long time text. Now, you may be a guy that hasn't dated in a while. It could be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. You could be a guy that hasn't ever really been on dates, and this woman's seemingly giving you signals, and this would be like your first person that you've dated, all right? You do not need to be sending women the message that you haven't had a date in a long time. You're thinking it's going to make you look like you're not a player, or that you're pure, or that you're going to be honest, because you would never step out on her because she's your first person that you've dated, or she's the first person in a while that you've dated, which means that you have self-control, that you're able to contain yourself from just hitting on a bunch of random women, and then you come up to her, and you're thinking that's a positive thing. Let me tell you, guy, women don't actually like to hear that you haven't had a date in a long time, because it indicates to them that you don't know how to handle women. Because if you knew how to handle women, you'd know how to speak the right things and have some kind of charm, and you'd be able to not only get women on dates, you'd know how to plan dates, you'd know what women like on these dates, and you'd be able to attract them to where you'd at least get a hookup of some kind. So when you tell a woman on the phone, oh, I haven't had that many dates, she's not taking it as a positive thing. She's reading it as, this guy doesn't actually know what to do to women, maybe possibly doesn't know how to talk to them or communicate with them. Maybe he touches them too much, or maybe he brings up weird subjects during dates. She doesn't know, but keep in mind, women are going to always try to attach a narrative to the things you tell them. So if you tell them you haven't had a date in a long time, she's going to be adding a narrative to that you don't mean to put out there, but that she could. So it's just easier if you don't send that text at all. The second kind of text that turns women off is the, I'll change my plans for you text. So this is one of those where, like, let's say she wanted to do something and you were busy. You were like, I got a thing coming up on Friday and I can't make it. And then that thing gets canceled. And then, well, one of 2 things happens. Either the thing gets canceled, or you hit her up and say, I can't make the thing. Something came up. I'm going to go hang with my boys tonight. And then you hit her up like 30 minutes later. Hey, so guess what? I'm actually free after all. You're thinking, hey, if the thing that I'm going to gets canceled, she already wanted to see me, there's a burning desire there, of course, I should still make an effort to see her. Or you're thinking, hey, I told her I had plans with some other people, and now I'm saying I don't, so she'll recognize that I probably canceled those plans because I want to put her first. And you're thinking that's a positive. And I'm telling you, it is not. It is actually a turnoff. Women want to date men that have other things going on in their lives besides them, and women want to date men who aren't going to make them their entire world. When you give up your plans, or when you give her the impression that your schedule is always movable if she wants to see you, it indicates to her you have no plans, you have probably no life outside of her, and she's going to be the sole person that's responsible for entertaining you, which could lead to her thinking you're desperate and needy. You don't need that. So if you have plans, for example, let's say you have plans and then they get canceled. You should not try to think, I'm going to just go ahead and hit her back up and say, let's make some plans last minute, because you also shouldn't be planning last minute dates, especially early on in the dating process. So if you have something planned and it gets canceled, find something else to do besides go out with her. Even if she is still free or whatever, give her the impression that you do have other things going on besides her to entertain you. If you make plans with friends and she says she's suddenly available, you don't cancel your plans with friends. You go in the order that the plans happened. If your friends had plans first, and then she comes along and says she can do some stuff, well, you know what? She's got to wait. And you know what? Women want to wait. Women want to know that you actually have friends, that you have other people in your life that want to see you besides just her. This adds a dimension to your life that she can later jump into, but to completely be willing to just give that away to see her, it's not as attractive as you think it is, guys. So stop doing that. The third type of text that turns women off is the, you're so different from other women text. And mostly it's because it's bland and boring. Women hear this all the time. Every guy that they know is saying, you're so much different from other women and blah, blah, blah. And so it just sounds like a sappy line that you're trying to use to gain her attention and attraction. And it's not ultimately going to do anything to actually bolster it. All right. But again, if you were going to say something like that, this is an example of a compliment you could say during an actual date when she'll be able to read it as like authentically true. She can see your face when you're saying it. She can hear your vocal tone, and she can get that you're saying it because you actually mean it versus just reading it over text and thinking, oh, he's the fifth guy today that sent me this. You're not like other women text. It doesn't do anything, guys. So stop sending it. The fourth kind of text that women are tired of hearing and turn them off are something akin to the I normally get chicks that are uglier than you. And most guys don't say it like that, but sometimes you might say something like, oh man, you're like the prettiest girl I've ever seen, or oh my gosh, you're so out of my league with your looks because you're just so attractive. And you're thinking you're paying her a high compliment. Well, for one, you're not, because she probably hears that all the time. But more importantly, you're thinking that she's going to be thinking of all the women you've ever dated, she's the most attractive, and that's a compliment. But what could actually happen is it's going to tip the scale into, wait a minute, if I'm like the prettiest he's ever gotten, how ugly are these other chicks that he dated? Like, he's not able to get any other pretty chicks. I'm the only one. Does that mean that his judgment is off? Is his radar a little like tilted? Should I be worried that the girls he's previously dated are not as good looking? So see, these are examples of things where like you're saying things thinking it means one thing, but again, she's going to add a narrative. So you thinking, I'm going to say that she's very, very pretty and I don't date girls as pretty as her, but like women want to think that they're in a high class and that you're able to get women as pretty as her because she wants to be added to that category of pretty women you've dated. She doesn't want to be the top tier and then by default thinking that all the other women you dated are a lot uglier. So stop saying that, especially via text. And then the fifth text that turns women off are the ones where you're taking a jab at yourself. So many men out there will say like, oh, I must have done something stupid, or, oh, I'm so goofy, or, oh, it must be my right eye, or, random stuff where they're trying to pick at themselves. And I get, guy, why you're doing it, because you're thinking if there are any kind of flaws about you, you want to get it out there before she notices it and calls you out on it so you can act like it doesn't bother you. But you're taking jabs at somebody that she's dating, and it's you that she's trying to date. So even if you're thinking it's jovial, whatever, she doesn't want the person that she's trying to date, i.e. you, to insult themselves. She doesn't want you to help her find your flaws. Like, that's not a thing you need to do. It's not attractive. It's not appealing. Most women aren't actually turned on by it at all. It doesn't make it endearing to them to hear you being able to take jabs at yourself. No, like that's the kind of stuff that if you're going to do it, it can come later in the relationship, but you shouldn't be doing it early on. And you definitely shouldn't be doing it through text, where if you were being sarcastic, there's no vocal tone there or to help her differentiate if you're being serious or if you're being jokey. All right. So just leave the insults about you, just leave them to the wayside. This episode is brought to you by the Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy, opening on November 1st. Join the waitlist and get your free PDF, the Girlfriend Roadmap Checklist, at introvertdatingsuccess.com.
Thanks for listening to the Introvert Dating Success Podcast. Visit us at introvertdatingsuccess.com for more great tips on attracting women using your natural introvert charm. Oh, yeah.